Alrighty, hello my friends. My name is Don and I am here again with Stormbringer Magazine. This time I have issue number 8. This one comes with the Lord Imperatant and a Gryph-hound. It's also got that base coating brush and has some guides on how to do some base coating. Alright, let's go ahead and open it up. Starting right off the bat with the Lord Imperatant and Gryph-hound. Bravery and swordsmanship win battles, strategy and tactics win wars. Lord Imperatant and Gryph-hound. Lord Imperatants are the supreme strategists of the Stormcast Eternals. Their role is to command forces on a truly vast scale, directing armies of Stormcast Eternals across sprawling territories. They do this from the heart of battle itself, directing nearby troops with thunderous commands. Commanders of the Storm Hosts. The Stormcast Eternals are divided into Storm Hosts, which are self-sufficient armies that have their own ways of war. Each Storm Host is a colossal force capable of matching the greatest armies of chaos, death, and destruction in battle. Lord Imperatants are entrusted with coordinating the efforts of entire Storm Hosts. With a single command, they may determine the fate of hundreds of warriors. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and roll a die to determine the character trait. 6. The Lord Imperatant prefers to lead from the front, shouting commands even as he fights his way through the enemy lines. Okay. We have the Gryph-hound traits. Gonna go ahead and roll a die to determine those now. 5. The Gryph-hound is ever vigilant, and it gives a warning cry should any enemies try to sneak up on it. And its name is Bolt. Fitting name. Okay, and I'm gonna pull out the name chart. Go ahead and roll. A 2. And a 1. So this one's name is Stratos. And as usual, it has some deeds down here. Can't quite get it in frame. You can try to get those in games. Alright, mine is already built. So here is the how to build guide. I'm going to rush through that. Clipper safety. Keep your fingers away from the blades and hinges of the clippers to avoid injury. Good tip for a child. So mine is still sub-assembled, that way I can take it apart and get some of the back of the cape, some harder to reach spots. Painting technique, since this magazine came with a brush. It's got the anatomy of the brush there again and some tips on how to use the base coating brush. I think this has been in most of the paint issues so far, reminding you to thin your paints, apply it to a palette, wash your brush, add water, mix on palette, wash brush, and dry your brush. It also talks about how to keep your brush clean. Pretty important. Yeah, make sure that you're keeping your brush clean. The longer you, the more well-maintained the brush is, the longer it will last. Alright, how to paint. As you saw, I have not actually painted this one up yet. I did do an undercoat as well with the Gryph-hound. I did the black with some white overcoat, or zenithal. This one has all 5 of the paints so far, and the 2 brushes used throughout the guide. I'll probably try to paint these guys up later today, since I will have some time after this. Starting with Corax White. Yeah, definitely going to take them apart so I can do that. Some of the lead belcher, using the Cantor Blue. More metallic. Catachan flesh for the manes of the Gryph-hounds. And the tail. A little bit of finishing up top. And then there is the finished models. Alright, movement continued. There are many ways your units can move in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, such as running forwards, charging to meet an enemy, or retreating out of a hopeless battle. There are 5 main ways you can move. You have already used normal moves and charging. In this guide, you'll learn about running, retreating, and piling in. Combat range. In Warhammer Age of Sigmar, many types of movements are affected by how close you are to enemy units. After all, approaching an armed warrior in the heat of battle is no simple feat, nor is attempting to flee from one. Charging into combat. You can only move your own units within 3 inches of an enemy unit using a charge. When one of your units is within 3 inches of an enemy unit, they are in combat. The Kill Boss and Stabgrot cannot make a normal move within 3 inches of the Vindictors to get close to the Stormcasts. They'll need to attempt a charge. Retreating. When one of your units is within 3 inches of an enemy unit, it cannot just move away from them. It has to make a special kind of move called a retreat move to get away from them. The Kill Boss and Stabgrot cannot make a normal move while within 3 inches of the Vindictors to escape. They'll need to make a retreat. Who can fight? Only units that are within 3 inches of enemy units can be chosen to attack in the combat phase. If a unit is more than 3 inches away from all enemy units, it cannot be chosen to attack in the combat phase. I feel like there's some repetition in here. Movement phase. In the movement phase, units can make a normal move or run if they are not in combat. If they are in combat, they cannot move or run, but they can make a retreat move. Normal moves. When a unit makes a normal move, you simply move the unit as far as its move characteristic allows. A unit cannot finish a normal move within 3 inches of an enemy unit. Normal moves are covered in more detail in A Basics 8. If you need a reminder, if a unit makes a normal move, it cannot shoot, charge, or fight later in the turn. Remaining stationary. You don't need to move a unit if you don't want to. You can always pick for a unit to remain stationary, letting them stay where they are. Most of the time, you'll be choosing to remain stationary with units that are in combat, or units that are already exactly where you want them to be. Movement phase. Running. Instead of a normal move, you can run with a unit. Roll a d6 and add it to the unit's move characteristic. The unit can move that far, following the same rules as making a normal move. The unit cannot finish a run within 3 inches of an enemy unit. Additionally, if a unit runs, it cannot shoot or charge later this turn. Retreating. If a unit is within 3 inches of an enemy unit, it cannot make a normal move or run, but it can still retreat. The unit can move as far as its move characteristic allows and must finish its move more than 3 inches away from any enemies. Additionally, if a unit retreats, it cannot shoot or charge in that turn. Charge phase. Charging is covered in A Basics 8. A charge is a fast but unpredictable move, and it is the main way to get into combat with an enemy. Only units that are more than 3 inches away from all enemies can charge in the charge phase. Combat phase. Piling in. It's important to get as many models as you can into weapon range to win your battles. When a unit is chosen to attack in the combat phase, every model in that unit can make a special kind of move called a pile-in move. When a unit piles in, each model in that unit can move up to 3 inches. This allows you to get the models in the unit as close to the enemy as possible to ensure their weapons are in range to attack. Alright, in this issue's playthrough, take and hold. The Killaboss has secured a map to a key Sigmarite settlement. The Stormcast Eternals seek to slay him while a group of Hobgrot mercenaries rush to protect their paymaster. Your battle continues. In this battle, you will use the rules for running, retreating, piling in, and combat range for the first time, and you will battle until one side has slain all of their opponent's units, following the instructions carefully as you play through the battle, following the phases of the game in order. This one uses the Killaboss and Stabgrot, the 10 Hobgrot Slittas, the Lord Arcanum, and 5 Vindictors. Deployment, still using the circles on the map to determine deployment. Place out all the models as shown. If you need some extra rules, we can pull those out and show them here. Just realized that I'm not able to see. There we go. Victory conditions. The battle ends at the end of the 5th battle round, or if all the Cruel Boys or Stormcast Eternals have been slain. If all the Cruel Boys are slain, the Stormcast Eternal player wins. If all the Stormcast Eternals are slain, the Cruel Boy player wins. If the game ends without either side being completely slain, the game is a draw. Right, we have the revised Cruel Boys War Scrolls. Then Cruel Boys get the first turn. Movement phase, shooting, charge, and combat phase. The example of what an example of what you can do on your turn. And it swaps over to the Stormcasts with the new War Scrolls. And then Stormcast turn 1, giving the option of retreating. Alright, at the end there is little blurbs for the end of battle. Or sorry, end of battle round. Cruel Boys victory, Stormcast victory, and it's a draw. Alright, all that said, next issue. Swamp Kala. After that, not sure how to pronounce that. I've only read it in my head so far. Xandri's Truth Seekers. Alright, thank you so much for reading with me today. If you liked it, please feel free to give a like or a comment. I have a blast each time I do these. Thank you so much. Take care.